Well, I am sorry. I was spacing out. It doesn't matter. Nobody's watching anyway. But let's get started. One day there'll be people watching, and I can start growing this community. I took some steps yesterday to try and help. I did something called Discord, I think it's called, and listed the Discord on there. And probably just got more bots to come into the Discord. But that's okay. Bots need to trade as well, and to learn how to trade. Anyway, this is Premarket Wake Up with Frank. That'd be me. Community is called No More Paper Trading. Get away from sim and paper trading and move towards making real money. I just wanted to build a community where you're not having someone sell you something or try to sell you something. There's no great secret to trading that you can buy from anyone. But anyway, this morning I will be looking at the overnight moves, some news, and then key levels for the day, and that's it. Over time, I wouldn't mind changing it up, evolving it into whatever the community wants, maybe looking at larger market forces or more stocks, maybe options. I don't know. I'm up for learning anything. I always gravitate towards futures for many reasons, but that doesn't mean it'll always be that way. I definitely also trade the regular stock market, but that is longer term investments. I'm open to everything. So as I go live, there is no news. A lot of times at 8:30 there's some type of news. But let's move right into the overnight moves of the ES, the NQ, the Russell, the Dow, gold, and oil. So even if you follow the stock market, you might get something from this. I would think that anyone who follows the stock market would be interested in the SPY. So if you don't know, if you're brand new, the ES and the MES, which are futures, they follow the SPY, which is an average of the 500 largest companies in the New York Stock Exchange. All right. So for the ES, I had a pretty good trade last night. I let it go overnight for once. But I figured we wouldn't go any lower because at the end of yesterday, we halted in a good area and rebounded pretty quickly. And once I saw, no, I entered the trade before this. But anyway, made some okay money. I really have to break up all my strategies into longer and shorter term, even maybe like an overnight version, because the overnight's completely different. It's harder to scalp in the overnight. Some might call this a scalp, even though it was a 4-hour trade. I wouldn't call that a scalp. If I had to define what a scalp was, it would be trade less than a minute. But different people have different definitions for it, and that's fine. Anyway, in the ES overnight, bounced several times off of yesterday's close and are now trending slightly higher. The NQ, very similar. Bounced off of yesterday's close and is now trending higher. Also broke through this resistance area that was formed in the 4-hour time frame back on Friday. We're stuck in it a little bit now, but we'll see if we break back out of it. The Russell, not trending upwards, but was able to stay above yesterday's close, remaining mostly flat. A large decrease in price around 3 a.m. This is a pattern I've been seeing most nights in the Russell and others. Around 3 or 4 a.m. you get a decrease in price, or well, it's usually followed by a rebound. And I know that's when certain markets are closing, which is why I started building an indicator, which, as you can see, it has some problems I need to work out. I don't know why, but it does double labels, sometimes triple labels. I got to figure that one out. But 3 a.m., that would be... Why doesn't it show for current? It did yesterday. Crap. That's going to be a hard one to figure out, because if I think I fixed it, yeah, why is it only showing the upcoming? I bet if I put it on the charts again. Nope. Well, I'll figure that out later, but three a.m. is either, I think that's the European Open and London Open. So, for some reason, I'll show you how it happened previous couple nights right here. This one didn't happen till around 4. This one happened around 3 a.m. Always with a rebound. It didn't really happen on last Thursday. But many of the overnight, it does happen. All right, let's take a look at the Dow. Very similar to the Russell, but remaining above yesterday's close, which is good. Again, I'm guessing that the pre-market, there's a pre-market, which is why it starts early. You see the volume ramping up. Could also be a market closing. What would that be? Let me try adding that indicator to this one. See, now it works. I don't know what the heck's going on. Darn, that's going to be a pain. I thought I was making more progress than I thought I was. So yeah, it's a Hong Kong close as well. Is at 4. Tokyo closes at 2 a.m. So yeah, we have the London Open. But yeah, there's volatility at both. Hong Kong close and the London Open. What's the gray one? Oh, that's Europe. Europe and London Open at the same time, our time. And 4 a.m. is also when New York Stock Exchange pre-market opens for some certain brokers. But yeah, this indicator works great until it duplicates things or messes up. I'm determined to figure it out though. Alright, gold. Gold is definitely all over the place. Tried to break below the R3 pivot point in the overnight. Tried to break below it again, but failed and is now hovering near it. Oil in the overnight. Bounced a few times off of last month's close. I wish I would have seen that. Well, I'm not up at 1 a.m. And this is why it's scary to trade sometimes. Because you would see 3 bounces. It would come back down again. You know what? I might have seen that. That it wasn't going to bounce directly on it. So instead you wait for it to come back through. That would have been a great trade. Didn't spend any time at yesterday's high and is now stuck on that's the 200 simple moving average. She just rejected that pretty sharply. That would have been a real nice quick trade as well. In a little bit I'll talk more about today, what might happen today. Key areas to look out for. Let's take a look at news for today. We have new home sales. Lots of people are looking at this for many different reasons. I usually just know to block it out so I don't get stuck in a trade. I think confidence in the data is at an all-time low, but it still causes volatility in the markets. And then a Fed speech later on today at 4:10, right after the close of normal trading hours. Later this week, got lots of stuff tomorrow. I think I will be able to present or stream tomorrow, but not much past that because I got a job to do. But tomorrow at 8:30, durable goods, PCE, quarter over quarter, initial jobless claims, lots to look at tomorrow, and a bunch of Fed speeches after all the data is released. I think yesterday Powell spoke. And I only saw a snippet. Excuse me. I only saw a snippet of what he said, and it was his usual, well, I don't know, maybe we will, maybe we won't thing. But let's check the FedWatch tool. For October at 94% chance of a cut. And 79% in December. Let's compare that to before. So we're actually down a little bit from the 17th and up a little bit from yesterday for December. And despite Powell being on the fence, maybe you can't trust the snippets. I'd have to watch the whole thing, and I'm already tired. But apparently traders thought that what he said was positive towards a rate cut in October. Friday we have month over month and year over year CPE or PCE, same thing. More Fed speeches, then Michigan consumer sentiment, which I don't know. I've seen, at least the area I'm in, it seems to be booming lately, despite all the bad news. And I know it's very regional, but all I know is what I see. I don't think the data tells the full story. In fact, it's been proven not to tell the full story. We give Bureau of Labor Statistics, I don't know how many millions of dollars to collect data, and they're always wrong, very wrong. I watched a good video about just don't measure. Just stop measuring that stuff. What does it really help anyway? It's always wrong. You could have people, you could have Vegas bet on it, and they would be more right. Where can you, is that Kalshi? Is that what I'm thinking of? On Kalshi you can bet on that type of thing. I wonder if they have stuff about that specific, getting into the economy. I doubt it, because you'd have to prove it somehow. I tried Kalshi out a little bit. Just as an aside, let's check it out. Why not? There's nobody watching anyway. Huh. I don't know anything about football. Wow, that's bad. I thought this guy got canceled or whatever. Yeah, but what happens if it's neither? I guess I do remember that. It splits the money down the middle. I wonder how often this becomes true. Like, out of all the hurricanes they predict will go to such and such a category, I wonder how often it's actually true that the prediction markets are right. Oh yeah, they do have PCE. Interesting. Where did I just see something about COVID? Man, it'd be really sad though if this guy wins in New York. I mean, they're both terrible options. But, I mean, one's a devout socialist. Goes against everything. But, I don't know. They've been collecting fools in New York for a long time now, and fools can vote. But I don't wish that on anyone. Even people that vote for it, I don't. A lot of people say, well, they'll deserve it. They'll deserve whatever they get, which, if he does a lot of the things he's talking about, it will cripple a lot of the city. There'll be less housing, less money going around. People will be moving out like crazy. I don't think anyone deserves that. But enough of that. All right, let's go over key levels for today, and then I'd like to get into trading. So for the ES, it looks like we are, for now, going to stay above yesterday's close. Oh, I forgot to check the VIX in the overnight. I checked it myself this morning, but as you can see, it's been trending down. If you remember yesterday, which nobody does because nobody was here yesterday, I drew these lines on the VIX. This is the VIX daily and this is the VIX 5-minute, showing that VIX was likely to fall once it got to that level, and it did. It hung there for a little bit, and then at the end of the day fell, and then overnight it's been falling since. If anything, that's a sign that for now we're going to stay above yesterday's close, at least. That's my prediction. I've often been wrong, but we shall see. I don't just trade right off of that. I wish I would have done a longer term trade last night with my shorter term trade, where I held on to some contracts up until price got back to around R2 pivot point. Anyway, if we do head higher, that's the point to look out for. Not only is it a pivot point, but it's also yesterday's high and Monday's high and close. So all that is up there. If we head lower, look out for yesterday's close. I don't see that happening, but if we do, we have yesterday's close and then yesterday's low right below it, with a huge area of resistance in between, or support, whatever you want to call it. It was only built yesterday, but it was built on the 4-hour time frame. In the NQ, very similar prospects of the NQ, except yesterday and Monday we got above the R2 pivot point both times. I don't think price really paid any attention to it, just a little bit yesterday. But price kind of ignored it both days. I'd say look out for it if we head up that way. But then beyond that, of course, is yesterday's high and the current month high and Monday's high, all in the same area around 25,025. If we head lower, same story. Look out for the close and the low. And I do believe there is also a large area of resistance or support in there as well, in between the two. If we break lower than that, I'd be looking for a pullback before entering. I wouldn't. If we broke below, I would not do any mean reversion. All right, Russell. We reached a new monthly high yesterday, but the overnight has been kind of muted. It's stuck below the R1 pivot point right here. So if we head higher, look out for that, followed by Friday's high at 2498.5, and then of course yesterday's high. If we head lower, which could be a possibility, I don't know. The Russell and the ES and the NQ haven't been very correlated lately. There's sometimes opposite days, I guess you would call them. Well, not really actually. Last week it wasn't correlated, but this week's a bit more correlated. No, scratch that. I was looking at the wrong thing. Just stick to what I said. So you could have the Russell trending down today and the ES and NQ trending up. It feels more and more like we're close to an area in the ES and the NQ where we need a pullback. We really need to find a narrative besides rate cut to drive markets. An argument could be made that the Russell leads a little bit the NQ and ES, because the Russell would be the smaller companies and how much they are gaining. And of course the smaller companies become the larger companies, which are in the ES and the NQ. How much it leads the other two, I don't know. All right. The Dow looks very similar to the Russell. Dow has stayed above the close in the overnight, so look out for that level. If we head higher, we have the R1 pivot point, which yesterday we almost completely ignored. How did I miss this yesterday? What did I even do yesterday? But the Dow yesterday rocketed in the beginning of the day. Only to build the opening range high and then melted down since. But it is of note that in the overnight, price was able to stay above yesterday's close. But yesterday, price completely ignored this pivot point. So I wouldn't really trade off that today. I'd be looking at the current month high, up at 47,058. If we head lower, definitely look for yesterday's low. And then this large area of support or resistance around 46,500. That's where it starts anyway. That was built 2 weeks ago. And it has been important since. All right, gold. I'm still trying to stay away from gold and oil a bit more until I figure out better longer term trading strategy for them. My discretionary trade off of key levels strategy is not developed enough to consistently make money on them. I took a look at all my futures trades since April, and my largest losers have been in gold and oil. If I take them out entirely, I'm pretty profitable. If I put them in, I'm up like a tiny amount. They're just too unpredictable, I guess. Or I don't know. A lot of people say find one market and stick to it, but maybe I should listen. Anyway, you might call this the start of a head and shoulders. I don't know. I usually ignore them for 5-minute charts anyway. But yesterday saw more new highs in gold. But MACD was muted. Despite there being more volume, you can see here the balance was leaning towards sellers, which I guess you could have predicted the end of yesterday for gold, or yesterday during the day. Maybe not. But it seems like gold wants to stay above the R3 pivot point for now. I would look out for that. We might bounce off that several times. If we head higher, get yesterday's close and then yesterday's high. If we head lower, again, the R3 pivot point and then yesterday's low beyond that. I would also be looking at the 3740 general area. We are nowhere near simple moving averages. Man, I thought gold was up back in April. I guess this looks like a triangle here, for sure. Definitely should have noticed that. I think I remember reading that triangles are among the most respected pattern, especially on like day charts or weekly charts even. I mean, that would have been a mistake to trade that. But I guess if you're looking for confirmation, that would have been on the second. Man. Things I missed. I'm going to post that to TradingView. Put it under things I should have noticed. See if anyone noticed it and made a bunch of money. Again, that solidifies my idea that gold and oil should be traded more in the long term. Swings are multiple day, which swing is multiple day. Should be a term for between swing and investing. What would you call that? A weekly trade? All right, oil. Ooh, this would be a good spot to short oil. I think I'm gonna do it. Only do 2 contracts, really long term. Make sure outside regular trading hours stop is picked. I hate how TradingView does this. Let me show you. If I hit the trade button, then I'm like, never mind. It still sticks this. I don't want this here. If you like it, let me know, but I don't like it. But yeah, let's just do a flat out. Keep it simple. And then ride it down to I'll sell 1 here and then let the other one ride. Set it and forget it. All right. See what I'm doing for oil. See if it works out. We're also hitting the 200 SMA. So we'll see what happens there. Now I'm regretting only doing 2 contracts. Yeah, well. If it works out, yay for me. You don't really see, now that I'm looking for triangles everywhere. Oh, maybe there is a triangle in oil here. No, not so much. Head and shoulders, maybe? I find head and shoulders to be far too arbitrary. You have head and shoulders inside head and shoulders. And I also forget which way is which with them. But I don't think that's what this is. Oil is too manipulated. And all the examples you see are all so simple. So, I mean, if anything, it would make me think that we're going to go lower from this point. But we also have higher lows building. I don't know. Maybe I'll post that too and say this is my trade, this is what I'm doing. Let me know if you see something completely different. Yeah, I think I will. Alright, that's all I have for today. If oil goes higher, it's not going to go higher because I need a win. If it went higher, though, look out for the current month high at 65.42. If oil goes lower, you're definitely looking at the monthly close, previous month's close, obviously, because this month didn't close yet. You also have yesterday's high, which the price did kind of respect in the overnight. In fact, if I was doing far more contracts, I might take 2 off there. I was doing like 6 contracts. But that's enough from me. Have a good day. Goodbye.